A major part of learning new words, besides reviewing them and practicing saying them out loud, is to use them in conversation as soon and as often as possible. But in reality, we know that doesn't always happen, does it? To help you build a larger, more complex, permanent vocabulary with advanced words that have great meaning and are fun to use, review all of the word definitions and the sample sentence in this video before challenging yourself with a free word challenge assessment of all the words you're about to hear and see. The benefit of testing yourself is that you'll be increasing and reinforcing your ability to understand these words when you hear them being used and have a greater range of words in conversation as well as in writing. Take notes if you want. Here we go. The first word is heinous. A basic definition of heinous is a behavior that is disgraceful, morally bad, wicked, or shockingly evil. When heinous is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. His heinous words silenced the crowd before they shouted back their objections against his controversial opinions. Ingratiate. A basic definition of ingratiate is to bring oneself into favor by flattering or trying to please through actions or words. When ingratiate is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. She tried to ingratiate herself into the club by bringing cookies, cupcakes, and tasty sweets. Sequestered. A basic definition of sequestered is to be isolated, concealed, or hidden from being found. When sequestered is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. He was sequestered way up in the mountains, away from the hectic city life. Disparate. A basic definition of disparate is something that contains or is made up of distinct pieces, parts, or elements that are different from each other. When disparate is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The disparate salad contained different leafy plants, several colorful vegetables, mixed beans, and even various small fruits. Vicarious. A basic definition of vicarious is when someone has or gains an experience through someone else's firsthand experience, rather than doing it for themselves, such as watching a video or reading a book about what they accomplished. When vicarious is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. Her mother lived a vicarious life through her daughter's success in music that she missed out on when she was growing up. Yearning. A basic definition of yearning is to feel a sometimes sad and yet strong, urgent desire or longing for something that is lost or missing. When yearning is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. He had a yearning for a pizza with everything on it. Haughty. A basic definition of haughty is to be blatantly arrogant and disdainful to others with a superior attitude or contempt for people or things. When haughty is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. For someone who is supposed to care so much about people, her haughty mistreatment of her guests was quite shocking. Impetuous. A basic definition of impetuous is acting or doing something quickly without thinking, thought, or care. When impetuous is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. His response to the text message was impetuous and showed his lack of patience. Affable. A basic definition of affable is characterized by someone who's very pleasant, friendly, and is easily approachable to speak with. When affable is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. My students find me to be an affable instructor within the first few minutes of our first class. Banal. A basic definition of banal is something that is boring, lacking originality, freshness, or innovation. When banal is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The attempt to create new ideas for the sake of getting attention is often banal in design and offers no additional value to any culture. Circumspect. A basic definition of circumspect is to be careful and unwilling to take risks by being aware of a situation and the possible consequences and outcomes. When circumspect is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. There are many politicians who should be more circumspect of what they say, as their words can lead to actions that can lead to confusion and anger. Dauntless. A basic definition of dauntless is to show confidence, determination, and invulnerability to fear, intimidation, or from being subdued. When dauntless is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. She showed a dauntless approach to life by making the right choices even when she knew they were not the most popular decisions. Odious. A basic definition of odious is something that is horrible, extremely unpleasant, strongly disliked, and even deserving of hate. When odious is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. Based on what was originally said, the odious remarks were never forgotten and could not be forgiven so easily. Null. A basic definition of null is amounting to nothing of value or having the value of zero. Null is also used when a document, contract, or law has no legal or binding force. When null is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. Without your signature to finalize the deal, the contract to buy the property is null and void. Zesty. A basic definition of zesty is something that is lively, exciting, interesting, and fun. Zesty is also used to describe foods that are savory, zingy, or salty. When zesty is used in two different sentences, they sound and look like this. You sure are zesty today. And, wow, this food is really zesty. Astute. A basic definition of astute is to be mentally sharp and having an ability to notice and understand things clearly and quickly to take advantage of a particular situation. When astute is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The newly discovered asteroid was observed by an astute young astronomer by sheer luck and perfect conditions in the night sky. Serene. A basic definition of serene is best described as a state of peace and calmness, unaffected by disturbance, worry, or anxiety. When serene is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The vacation spot we picked was known for its stunning beauty and secret locations that are tranquil and serene. Lucrative. A basic definition of lucrative is making a large profit of money or producing a large amount of surplus. When lucrative is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The rookie athlete signed a 3-year lucrative deal beyond his wildest dreams. Intrepid. A basic definition of intrepid is to be fearless, bold, brave, with great endurance, and not be afraid of danger when faced with difficulties or challenges. When intrepid is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. There are many people who have an intrepid attitude at conquering the most challenging of physical challenges human beings can face on and off the planet. Genial. A basic definition of genial is to be friendly, cheerful, and pleasant. When genial is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. His reputation was that he was a fair but tough boss who often showed his genial smile and warm personality when dealing with rude people. Keen. A basic definition of keen is to be eager or enthusiastic. When keen is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. She wasn't so keen to be working in groups, but found the training from her communications class greatly improved her preparation for the challenge. Persevering. A basic definition of persevering is to be unrelenting, persistent, and determined to achieve a specific goal despite difficulties and challenges. When persevering is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. Due to the extreme weather conditions, only a few persevering climbers reached the mountaintop. Prosperous. A basic definition of prosperous is to be financially successful and enjoying economic health and success. When prosperous is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The most prosperous small business owners are those that have a solid plan of action and a passion for hard work. Tenacious. A basic definition of tenacious is to be stubborn, persistent, or determined to maintain or keep something of value. When tenacious is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. To be successful, you need to develop a tenacious desire to overcome any obstacle that stands in your way of reaching your goals. Precarious. A basic definition of precarious is a situation that might be unknown, risky, not safe for certain, insecure, and sometimes dangerous. When precarious is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. If you procrastinate in starting big projects, you will put yourself in a precarious position of running out of time to finish. Auspicious. A basic definition of auspicious is when there are signs, indications, or suggestions that future success is likely. When auspicious is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The students were hoping, eager, and anxious to have an auspicious start to the new school year without the fear and anxiety of the last year's events. Hypocritical. A basic definition of hypocritical is when someone behaves in a different way that does not match the statements or opinions they claim to make or have. When hypocritical is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. If you watch any news today, you will find an abundance of hypocritical people telling you what to do and then doing the opposite. Empathetic. A basic definition of empathetic is to know or understand how someone feels through personal experience or imagination. When empathetic is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. To be an empathetic listener takes practice, training, and experience to reach a higher level of humanity. Apathetic. A basic definition of apathetic is to show no interest, no concern, no emotion, or no enthusiasm for something. When apathetic is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. With all of what's going on in the world and conflicting and misinformation, can you blame anyone who has become apathetic about life and giving up all hope? Pathetic. A basic definition of pathetic is to have pity, sadness, or sorrow towards something that is inadequate or absurd. When pathetic is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. In an attempt to fire up his team, the coach scolded them at halftime and asked them if they wanted to be known as the pathetic losers for their lack of motivation and sloppy play. Optimistic. A basic definition of optimistic is expecting good things to happen and having a positive, hopeful outlook for the future. When optimistic is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. To have an optimistic attitude about the future will promote a higher level of motivation and energy to get things done now. Pessimistic. A basic definition of pessimistic is expecting bad things to happen or for something not to be successful. When pessimistic is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The pessimistic weather report for next week was predicting dangerous storms and high winds. Pragmatic. A basic definition of pragmatic is solving problems in a way that is practical, reasonable, and sensible, rather than by having fixed ideas or theories to deal with challenges in a specific situation. When pragmatic is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The testimony was pragmatic, to the point, and did not confuse the jury with clear and concise answers that were easy to understand. Incomprehensible. A basic definition of incomprehensible is when something is impossible to comprehend or understand. When incomprehensible is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The universe is filled with incomprehensible mysteries waiting to be discovered. Repulsive. A basic definition of repulsive is when something causes a very unpleasant feeling or strong dislike or disgust for something. When repulsive is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The repulsive smell from the rotting garbage was made worse by the heat. Ambiguous. A basic definition of ambiguous is something that is not clearly defined or that can be understood in more than one way by having different meanings. When ambiguous is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. His account of what happened was ambiguous on purpose to confuse and distract from what really happened. Inspirational. A basic definition of inspirational is when something creates excitement to influence you to want to do something, or that inspires an idea about what to do or to create something. When inspirational is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The truthful, reassuring, and inspirational words were motivating to tens of millions of people. Aspirational. A basic definition of aspirational is to be ambitious, desiring, or wanting very much to achieve success in your career, to improve your social status, and/or your standard of living. When aspirational is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. I want to help you achieve higher levels of success by continuing to produce aspirational videos that provide proven methods and techniques that work. Intricate. A basic definition of intricate is something that has many different complex parts and small details that are all fitted together. When intricate is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The intricate piece of jewelry was created with a tightly woven mesh of twisted gold and silver strands into a beautiful piece of work. It's atrocious. A basic definition of atrocious is something that is bad, unpleasant, wicked, evil, or violent to the senses. Atrocious can also be used to describe something that is very poor in quality or just wrong and offensive. When atrocious is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The weather can be atrocious at this time of year. Compliant. A basic definition of compliant is when there is a willingness to comply, yield, bend, or be submissive by agreeing with other people or to follow the guidelines, rules, or laws. When compliant is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The people were extremely concerned that the new law would be prohibitive and difficult to follow due to the high costs required to remain compliant. Ubiquitous. A basic definition of ubiquitous is when something is in more than one location at the same time or is widespread and everywhere at once. When ubiquitous is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. The ubiquitous presence of Wi-Fi is so common that it's hard to understand why it doesn't always work in some areas. Irascible. A basic definition of irascible is when someone is easily provoked to anger or is just plain irritable. When irascible is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. His irascible nature led to his defeat in the local election against a candidate who always found something good to say with a positive attitude and sincere appreciation for everyone. Antagonistic. A basic definition of antagonistic is when someone is being hostile, unfriendly, or in opposition to or towards someone or something. When antagonistic is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. Part of being in customer service is dealing with antagonistic people who think that yelling and berating someone is the only way to get what they want. Onerous. A basic definition of onerous is when there is a physical or mental situation that causes trouble or worry involving or requiring a great effort to deal with it or endure it. When onerous is used in a sentence, it sounds and looks like this. As a teacher, it is my onerous responsibility to provide simple and yet challenging content that my students find interesting to learn from. That's enough for today. You don't have to do this now, but don't procrastinate too long on challenging yourself with a free word knowledge assessment listed in the description below. If you want to review these words again, you can replay this video or check out this video right now that contains several advanced vocabulary words along with their definitions, many sample sentences with the various word forms that include adjectives, nouns, adverbs, verbs, and each main word synonyms and antonyms. Remember that my goal is to provide you with words for success and that your success is the goal. I'll see you online soon.